Blue Angels, the world's most famous precision flying team. Performing at full throttle, they are the rock stars of the aviation world.
Ladies and gentlemen, the United States Navy Flight Demonstration Squadron represents the tradition of pride, professionalism, and excellence.
But it's backstage where the real work begins.
There's a lot more going on than the crowd can see. A lot of training, mental shaping. This is normal.
To join this elite squad, rookies will have to pass some of the most grueling tests imaginable.
It is a lesson of just pure, unadulterated concentration.
It's kind of like relearning how to fly.
You got a lot of work to do.
Being a Blue Angel is hard on top of the flying.
You got maneuver to maneuver to maneuver, and you got to be where you got to be, or else you got a conflict with somebody else.
Strap yourself in for a wild ride with the best in the business.
It's showtime!
Early morning, the second Saturday in March, and at an airfield in remote southeastern California, 6 jets wait. Soon, pre-flight preparations are underway. 10 weeks of intense training has led to this, the Blue Angels' first air show of a new season.
Air show time, huh, guys? Right.
The first air show is much like the opening game of any sports team that's out there. We've been spending the entire winter getting ready for this day.
Want a kazoo?
And here we are the morning of, and there's a lot of anticipation of how we're going to do, because it kind of sets the tone for this season. How we're going to perform today is really going to get a key to how the year's going to go.
Have a safe flight, guys.
We'd like to really kick it off with a solid air show and just improve on that throughout the year.
The first major test for the new squadron is about to begin. It's a defining moment for those who've waited years to earn the honor of being called a Blue Angel. Six months earlier, the previous squadron of Blue Angels flies a late-season show. The maneuvers, based on actual aerial combat tactics, are designed to excite and entertain, and they do.
There can only be one, and it's called the Blue Angels, baby.
Among those attending, 3 new pilots, still in khaki, selected to be part of next year's squadron.
One more day of these.
Lieutenant John Saccomondo of the U.S. Navy.
Next year I'll be one of these guys.
Major Dan Shipley of the U.S. Marine Corps. And Navy pilot Lieutenant Justin Otto. Today, they mingle with the crowd, watching the show from the ground. All the while, the reality of life as a new Blue Angel is starting to sink in.
For all the newbies, the new officers that have joined the team, this is their first taste of life on the road with the Blue Angels, and it's overwhelming. It's such a machine in action to see the Blue Angel show on the road and actually be a part of it for the first time. You name it, it's coming at you. And it's the beginning of a wild ride.
Now, you know the speed of sound? Have you heard of that?
Yeah, you want to go in one of those?
For newbies, the first days are thrilling and perhaps a bit intimidating.
We just want to, get our feet wet and get into it and see how everything works. For us, the privilege of actually getting to stand at center point at the comm card and even just be a part of, this air show, it's just a blast.
Started to materialize a little bit for you as you realize that you're actually going to be going to these functions and seeing how it actually works. So I think it'll be great.
Too good to be true. I haven't done anything with the team at all, but I tell you what, I can't wait. I can't wait to jump in that darn jet. It's a kick.
But before jumping in a jet, the new pilots, along with other new Blue Angel team members, have a meeting back at training headquarters in Pensacola, Florida. Here, greeting them at the beginning of their 2- or 3-year tour, Squadron Commander Russ Bartlett, known as the Boss.
Well, welcome aboard, guys. Glad you're finally here, and it's great to have you. And I'm telling you what, your life just changed in ways you can't even comprehend. This is going to be the greatest 2 or 3 years of your life. It is absolutely awesome. But I'll tell you what else, it is the hugest gut check of anything I've ever done in my life. I mean, I've been in the Navy for 20 years. I've been flying the whole time, and nothing I've ever done has been harder than this. And it's not just the flying, although it's been the hardest flying I've ever done, but it's all the other stuff. The impression that you make on people everywhere is one that'll stick with them. And if all else fails, remember this. It's not you they want to talk to. It's the suit, okay? They don't care who Russ Bartlett is, and they won't remember a year from now who Russ Bartlett is. They'll just remember that they met Blue Angel 1, 2, 5, 6, 7. That's all. It's the suit, boys and girls. You take the suit back off, you're back in the green flight suit. Nobody cares. You will find the debriefs and the criticism you get, both constructive and painful and blunt and frank, to the point where, you know, sometimes you sit around this table and you just go, you gotta be kidding me. You know, what have I gotten myself into? What you learn now, all the things you can memorize now, parameters, comm, you know, procedures, all that stuff, the more of it you can get into your heads now, the less mental anguish you're gonna have out in El Centro when you're flying 3 times a day, 6 days a week for 10 weeks out there. That is a grind. Take it on board, you know, take a deep breath and sort it out, because, you know, come January 2nd when we get out in the desert, fight's on. And from that moment on, man, your hair on fire for the next 10 months. It's going to be a blast.
Next stop for the newbies, a custom tailor shop near the Pensacola Naval Air Station. This is where the famous flight suit is made. Like the individuals who wear it, it's cut from special cloth. Then it's sewn meticulously and tailored to a precise fit.
Good.
A very precise fit.
That darn thing's so tight, it'll probably take a while to get the boxer sitting straight underneath it, so
They do.
it'll be a couple of minutes.
They do need. I assume I know how you got the name.
Yeah.
You got pretty long arms. Pretty long arms, Dan.
You ever going to take it off? No, I'm going to bed with this thing tonight.
A little snug.
Not too tight?
No. Definitely. Yeah.
They used to be tighter.
Yeah, they
They used
did.
to be tighter?
Yeah, one time they were painted on. The end looks tight hanging up, doesn't it?
For the new pilots, fitting into the suit is the start of becoming a Blue Angel. Now it's on to the long-awaited first flight in the Blue Jets, led by solo pilot Dan Martin.
All right.
Martin's at the end of his tour with the squadron and will be returning to the fleet.
All right, you're actually on the upline knuckles. You guys are still over here.
Fly well.
Though pilots fly the jets, the aircraft are said to belong to the maintenance crews who service them.
All right, so you ready? Jump in there, don't touch anything, I'll help you out.
Without them, the planes would never lift off, nor would newbie pilots realize their dreams.
I've always wanted to fly. I think when I was a little tyke, I've always dreamt about flying, and to me, I just wanted to fly jets. So to motivate me, I'd get out a Blue Angel video, pop that into my TV at night, you know, and I'd watch that sucker, watch the, you know, F-18s taking off, and that was all it took. You know, rekindled the spark. I never thought of it as something I would ever attain. I can't believe we're flying a blue jet, you know, it's the greatest thing in the world.
This morning, at least 2 other pilots agree with Major Shipley. Like him, they've spent years honing their aviation skills. But this flight will be different than the missions they've flown before. Blue Angel pilots are Navy and Marine Corps aviators who've logged at least 1,200 hours flying a tactical jet and have experience taking off and landing on aircraft carriers. This flying is not for the faint-hearted. Jets launch from the carrier deck at 150 miles an hour and are airborne in 3 seconds. pilots compare it to being shot out of a cannon.
Every time we take off a carrier is the ride of your life. I mean, it's probably the best part of the flight. The catapult shot is a pretty intense shot. I mean, it wakes you up. As soon as you get to the end of that stroke, you know you're flying.
Blue Angel jets are specially modified F-18 combat planes. Flying them requires pilots to make some important adjustments.
You know, in the fleet, you find that gray airplane, it's configured for combat. So there's external fuel tanks, there's pylons that you can put weapons on the wing stations. It's heavy and it's got a lot of drag. We fly this jet out here, it's got shiny blue paint on it. They're really old Hornets, so they're really light. They have nothing hanging on the wings. There's no external fuel tanks, there's no pylons, there's no weapons. It's slick. So it's fast, it's light, it's slippery. So that's the big difference.
Back in Pensacola, the newbies are getting their first taste of the slick blue jets.
300.
Now's the time they can try maneuvers they rarely attempt with a gray jet.
Ready, and easy left. 4.2 G's. Oh! That goes at 150 left. Nice. Going to the air. Thanks, Paul. Wow, we've got his own. Rolling out, heading 072, 300.
The Hornet has been the Blue Angels aircraft since 1986.
370.
While fast, it's also known for its slow-speed handling. This makes for superior control, vital to a pilot in combat, or precision flying in tight formation. Yet control is only part of what new Blue Angel pilots must master.
You're going out there for 38, 39 minutes, and you know, you're doing some very challenging things with the airplanes, and there's a lot at stake. And you know, you've done a lot of things in your career and all that, and you think you can fly the airplane, but this is different. The level of precision and all that is different. The intensity is different, the maneuvers are different. It's all different.
Little power. Ease it out.
Getting comfortable in a Blue Angel jet and making it look easy takes many long hours of practice. It also takes the squadron far from Pensacola to a spot with plenty of sun and sand, but very little surf. El Centro is a 2-hour drive east of San Diego into the California desert. Less than 10 miles from the Mexican border, it's known for 330 days of sun a year. From early January to mid-March, this is the Blue Angels' ultimate getaway. Their winter training home.
The official name for this is the Restricted Area 2910, and we also call it the Shade Tree Bomb Range. We're about 7 miles from what's called the conventional bullseye, where a lot of naval aviators will come out to El Centro. They'll fly out to this range and drop ordnance. It's an ideal area for us because it's a flat area, and we get the range all to ourselves. We use a 5-mile radius up to 15,000 feet, so we use that cylinder of airspace to do the practice demonstration. And that's the same size of an airspace that we'll have when we do a show as well.
Despite El Centro's sunny reputation, during winter training, a Blue Angel pilot's day begins long before light. And for 10 weeks, each day will be a carbon copy of the previous one, beginning with the pre-dawn briefing.
So instead of going all the way to 18...
Major Shipley and Lieutenant Sacamando will learn the basics of precision flying from Boss Bartlett and Lieutenant Commander David Varner. Varner is a second-year pilot who flies the number 4 plane and serves as the squadron's training officer.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Admin. So, boss, we'll brief our morning going Shade Tree. Fire them ready to go. All right, back out to Shade Tree. It's Friday the 9th. The weather is clear skies. Forecast to remain the same. The altimeter is 3020, corrected to 2993. Surface winds are calm at 3,000 feet, 070 at 12 knots. At 6,000 feet, 090 at 8. At 9,000 feet, 070 at 9. They got clear skies all day. Clean bingo to you, Ms. 2.2.
During this briefing, Boss Bartlett reviews the maneuvers they'll practice together. It involves a rehearsal of the upcoming flight, where the pilots visualize what they'll see in the air and hear in their headsets as they execute each maneuver.
We'll be cleared for takeoff with a winds check. Check a park and brake off. Maneuver. Diamond burner go low transition, right turn up.
Sure. Locals. Affirmative. Diamond after rolling 16. Let's go.
Let's run them up. Coming left. Coming further left. A little pull. Flaps auto.
Everything that we do in the airplane, I say it first.
Smoke on, pull.
So they listen not only to what I say, but how I say it.
Smoke up, push. Tease it out.
In the brief, we will sit there and go through all the communications every time.
A little pull.
So they can just have it beat into their heads that this is the way Boss Bartlett says, coming left, or says, a little pull.
Take it in. Smoke on, pull.
In the airplane, if instead of saying a little pull, I say a little pull, that's different. And they will hear that intonation and go, oh, I guess we're going to get on it a little bit because we might be a little steep or a little low.
We're in a right turn for the Diamond Dirty Clean Flat Pass with afterburner drills. Pop, pop, easing power, easing more power.
Just to take that time and spend that amount of brain power executing the flight, closing your eyes, moving your fingers through all the appropriate controls, simulating the pulls, the power additions, all that stuff, it's invaluable. I don't think you could do this if you didn't do that every single day. There's differences in weather, winds, visibility, your mood. All those things are challenges that you try to manage so that you can fly the same exact profiles day in and day out at a different show site every weekend. That's hard.
Easy brakes, brakes. Shutdown, helmets dismount for reverse walk back, Nate Tops.
Sir, boss, emergency brakes.
Brakes release, emergency brake handle, pull the G10, brakes apply. All right, Diamond Solos Comcar Tower Burnt narrator, let's have a good one.
Flight rehearsal done, it's now time to take to the air. While being isolated in the desert might seem a hardship, for the pilots, it's actually beneficial.
And El Centro's where the team comes together. You go out there with 6 guys who have really, only a few of them have flown together. For 3 of the 6, this is all so foreign and so different from any flying they've done in the fleet before, it takes a lot of retraining to get them up to speed.
The El Centro training covers all aspects of the show, including the highly choreographed walk down to the jets.
You got 4, boss. Boss. Squadron, I-10, hut. Forward, march. Left, left. Hand salute. Up, top, 2. See ya, boss.
We can do our walk down, turn the corner, go up the ladder, sit down, put my helmet on, put my gear on, start the engines, and in 4 minutes and 4 seconds, we're out of the line and we're off to the runway. That's a good, tight system. Go. Get out there. You know, show must go on.
And the show goes on in 35 different sites, 35 weekends a year. The team practices the demo, short for demonstration, repeatedly during winter training, until it's as close to perfect as it can be.
Boss, that up 70%, let it roll. Solo's ready to switch 16, boss. Boss, switching 16, come to a little.
In El Centro, the first few days are devoted to working on some of the Blue Angels' signature show formations, particularly the Diamond. Here, the jets fly 400 miles an hour, separated by only 12 feet. Eventually, as the season progresses, the pilots will narrow the gap to a tight 18 inches.
Up on the 4th, ready now.
In some maneuvers, wingtips will overlap or hover just above another jet's canopy.
Adding a little power.
Precision flying in tight formation takes confidence, built on weeks of practice. These weeks also build something else.
You got to trust each other. it's a trust within the four of us in that diamond right now. We're working together and we're flying not super close yet, but we're going to get close. We're practicing to get to that close position. On days like today, you see this wind, we call it texture, and you're out there, you know, in airlines, you'll be flying around, all of a sudden the plane bounces around, and they're trusting that you're focused.
Ready, now. Easing.
Focused, yes, but not on the airspace ahead. Formation flying involves a lead jet, Boss Bartlett in Blue Angel number 1, followed by wingmen trailing behind and below him.
Go down, dive in, adding power.
To maintain correct position in the formation and during each maneuver, the wingmen fly by looking at a spot located on a jet next to them. That spot is often a marking, like a number or a letter, on the fuselage. The Blue Angels call it flying paint. Early in the training, keeping perfect alignment is difficult. If they can't maintain their position in the formation, for safety reasons, pilots must move away, and fast.
It's their responsibility, depending on where they are, to call clear, because they're flying like this. They're flying paint on the other airplane. If something happens, the airplane yaws, or they can't maintain position, they're at full throttle, they realize they got a problem. He's going to do his best to safely remove himself from the problem, doing whatever he can to not create a conflict with the guy who's next to him. Bottom line is, exercise common sense. Think if there's somebody outside of you in the formation, and how you're going to get out of there without impacting, literally, somebody else.
You know, it's respect for everybody else around you. If you bobble, you clear. Obviously, Knuckles and I are clearing quite a bit right now because we're not always in the right spot. It's not fun to be the only guy to clear, and you look up there and I see Knuckles back down there in position, and I'm sure it's the same way if he's up there in clear airspace and he sees me down in position, but you know, it's kind of nice when we see each other over Boss, you know, waving at each other.
It gets frustrating because you're just, you know, darn it, I want to be the guy. They look at me and say, oh, he's locked on, he's got it. If I was hearing, you know, Knuckles clear constantly, they wonder what's going on over there. And I know they understand. They're not putting that pressure on me at all. It's more self-induced. I want to build that trust and confidence in me. I want them to look at me and say, I know Knuckles got it. I know he's going to be strong in there.
There's no opportunity to daydream. You got maneuver to maneuver to maneuver, and you got to be where you got to be, or else you got a conflict with somebody else.
On the ground below them, at the communications trailer, or comm cart, a camera crew records the entire practice. Heading up this team is Lieutenant Gary Mullen, the squadron's flight surgeon, who's also skilled in the art of aerial dissections.
Because they had a little overlap. The flight surgeon's primary job is to grade the maneuvers with a shorthand as the video crew is filming it. And we also send that card with the videotape back to the training room for the debrief. And they can look at our comments, talk about what Varmint saw, and then what we saw from the ground.
That diamond dirty loop, a little right. A little. A little more. Right left, echelon roll, a little right. Smoke up. Wings are set. Don't have it.
A lot of what we look for is symmetry. So one of the big things we look for are wing sets between the wingman on the left and the wingman on the right. And we look for spacing, obviously, if one is too close to Boss or too far away.
For newbie pilots like Saccomondo and Shipley, learning to fly in formation is no small challenge. Add to this the detailed scrutiny of Lieutenant Mullen on the ground, and the experience can be overwhelming.
There's a lot of information. A good analogy to use is it's kind of like trying to take a drink of water out of a fire hose. There's a tremendous amount of data that's being put out in each maneuver, and our job is to capture as much of it as we can to improve the training and to improve the quality of the show for the upcoming season. So I think that as difficult as it is to receive criticism, one of the things that you'll learn on this team is how to take criticism and how to improve yourself, because you simply couldn't succeed here if you didn't do that.
Back on the ground, the pilots fill out reports on their aircraft, so ground crews can fix any problems before the next practice flight. Day in, day out, the routine is the same. Flight after flight after flight. If the flying takes concentrated effort, so too does the debriefing session afterwards. Here the pilots evaluate their own performance, citing even the smallest mistake and penalizing themselves for it. This voluntary self-criticism is known as taking a safety.
Kick out of that.
Squadron members believe it creates trust and, while sometimes difficult, helps reinforce a mindset that seeks perfection. Everyone, even the boss, takes part.
Take a safety, low brake, cross, first one. I guess the best analogy would be it's like a mulligan. It's your opportunity to come into the debrief and say, look, these are the things that I didn't do right today. And that is giving you the opportunity to fess up, identify your own shortfalls, and say, I'm going to fix these for tomorrow. So I will fix my safeties, glad to be here. Sean?
Yes, sir, boss. My specific goal was the diamond roll. Safeties, I'll take safety.
The last thing you say is, I'll fix my safeties, I'm glad to be here. I may just had a really tough flight and be really frustrated, but I'm still in the Blue Angels, and I am glad to be here.
I'll work on this, glad to be here.
Okay, roll 'em.
Following the safeties and self-evaluation comes a more objective and often more painful review with the aid of videotape. Every detail of the practice is examined, frame by frame if necessary.
A lot better in the burner, and I think as your second pop just wasn't enough. Better than yesterday.
As the slot pilot, flying the number 4 jet behind Boss and the 2 wingmen, it's Dave Varner's job to point out mistakes or deviation from proper procedure. If he's unsparing in his critique, it's because he has to be. While precision flying is for the pleasure of those watching on the ground, for those in the air, it's still dangerous.
You're behind, no? So you're overthinking it. We've talked about it. I can't teach you the magic position from where your stick needs to be and your throttle needs to be and how to get there and go on the call. You can only do that by going on the call. And we're not looking at any paint here whatsoever. You're trying to find the magic spot and how to get there. You can't do it, okay? That's why we have Boss. That's why he learns all this comm. And so he can say it the same way every time, do the same thing with his jet, and we can go on his call, okay? So here you're getting a little frustrated, which you shouldn't be. We're talking, breathe on it a little bit. You've got to continue to drive and roll. It's not just rudder throughout this roll.
Varner takes his job seriously, but being a newbie just last year, he also recalls what Shipley and Saccomondo are going through.
I go from number 3 pilot, you know, knucklehead to know-it-all in a handshake, really, at the end of last year, okay? Because your priorities aren't where they should be here. So you come into this training job, you know all of the procedures, okay? But I'd never been in the slot. I'd never seen it from that perspective. So there's a little apprehension as far as, hey, how am I going to teach these guys? What's my teaching style going to be?
It's all business, and it's very serious because it involves, you know, each other's lives. You got to pay attention, and one bad mistake could take all the planes out. So we're in that debrief. The whole mindset is, he's talking, explain to us, we'll sit there and listen.
What do you see on your clear there, Sean, as far as why you cleared?
Bobble to inboard shift. It's really a never-ending process. Debrief every day, every practice. We're never completely going to reach that level of perfection, but you know, we've got plenty of time to work on this. I just wish it would go a little faster so I can be good at this.
You'll get there, but only if you're patient and you can take a beating and you can come back the next day and say, I'm glad to be here, I'm going to do a better job tomorrow.
During the 10 weeks in El Centro, newbie Justin Otto has his own training regimen. Though an accomplished pilot, this season he'll not be flying on show days. That comes next year. Instead, as the show narrator, he's the public voice of the team. His role involves memorizing the script for the entire 40-minute program, learning the rhythmic cadence and inflection that keeps the crowd informed and engaged.
Now, directly before you, the Blue Angel Delta formation. Directly before you, the Blue Angel Delta formation.
At less than 120 miles per hour. The state-of-the-art flight controls provide slow-speed handling second to none.
Like newbie Shipleen Sakamondo, Otto is finding perfection elusive.
Over the top, he's floating the formation to set them up directly over show center point.
The other two members of the squadron, the solo pilots, are in a nearby briefing room. Lieutenant Commander Craig Olson is learning the solo program maneuvers from Lieutenant Commander Dan Martin.
So there's our first sequence. Head on 360 through Fortis.
Martin's filling in for this year's lead solo, Major Len Anderson, who's due back from medical leave within a week.
We'll get the smoke off crossing the show line, and now you're just waiting for the ready, hit it. Ready, hit it.
Olson's in his first year as a pilot, after serving last year as the show narrator. For him, flying solo as a Blue Angel is as good as it gets.
I think from a pilot standpoint, we all kind of dream of doing the solo flying because it's the exciting, you know, again, maximum performance where you're pulling a lot of G's, you're going fast, it's kind of the crowd pleaser. But it's really not up to us when we join the team what you're going to fly, whether it's Diamond or solo. And of course, we're all happy to get either one because you want to be a Blue Angel, which is the big picture part of it. But certainly when I found out I was going to be one of the solo pilots, I was ecstatic.
Alternating with the 4 Diamond pilots, the solo pilots provide crowds with some high-energy, adrenaline-pumping moments. But as Major Anderson explains, their work involves coordinating their maneuvers with the Diamond pilots.
It's a very difficult problem for us to time our maneuvers to happen within what the Diamond is performing. Diamond flies a very distinct track through the sky. They don't change anything. You've seen how close they fly together. They can't adjust for timing or get out of the solo's way. So we are always staying out of Voss's field of view. We're trying to keep his airspace clear.
Yug, cancel, roll, pause, pull. Now get on it, okay? And make that turn a level turn.
We start these maneuvers very high and very wide from each other, and we spent the last 3 months whittling that away, dropping the altitudes down, and we'll continue to drop those down throughout the year. But the maneuvers get tighter and closer, much like the Diamond. When they're flying, our maneuvers opposing will get closer as well.
While Lieutenant Commander Craig Olson's realized his dream in becoming a Blue Angel solo pilot, that doesn't make the winter training any less grueling.
Long, demanding days, but the learning curve is steep, and there's a reason we come out here. Where we brief, then we fly, we come back and debrief, grab a 5-minute lunch, and then step into our next brief and fly, and then on some days we'll even do that 3 times. So
Forward, large.
it's kind of what we call Groundhog's Day because every day is very similar.
And salute. Up, 2. See ya, Merlin. See you, dear.
Flying a perfect air show is the goal of the 6 pilots. But keeping the jets airborne is a job belonging to a group of perfectionists on the ground. The maintenance team members, also known as Blue Angels. Among these are some 80 enlisted personnel and 8 officers who handle everything related to the aircraft. Staff Sergeant Daryl Carson is one of 14 crew chiefs responsible for knowing the Hornet inside and out and doing all he can to keep a respected but aging bird flying. Today, he's checking out a new recruit, a retired FA-18 that will replace one of the current jets in the squadron.
It doesn't really make sense to get brand new jets and then fly them around just for demonstration purposes. These jets are designed to go drop bombs on targets. These jets are designed to protect America, and that's what they do first. After they fulfill that obligation, they send them to us. Right now, it's going through a small transition, going from what we would call a fleet jet, a gray jet, to Blue Angel jet. These are our engines, GE F404 engines. Max output is 16,000 pounds of thrust per engine. The aircraft by itself, stripped down, weighs approximately 24,500 pounds. So in theory, the jet can take off, go vertical, and keep climbing because of both engines right here. This jet will go away and be gone for a couple months. They actually do a couple more modifications, and they have to check to be sure that the airframe life is good to go on it. But once they leave here, they go to a boneyard, or they'll go to, for spare parts, they'll go to a schoolhouse where kids coming in the Navy and Marine Corps learn how to work on F-18s, or they'll go to display, what we call putting them on a stick.
In El Centro, the retired jets are just about the only thing not moving. Meanwhile, for pilots, maintenance crew, and working aircraft, life is constant motion, day after day. Now, 3 weeks into winter training, the newbie pilots are still feeling the strain of getting up to speed. Boss Bartlett called becoming a Blue Angel a huge gut check. Shipley and Saccomondo now know why.
We're all type A personalities, so I want to do it now and have it right. And it's humbling, but at the same time I knew it wasn't going to be easy.
It's very difficult. You know, Knuckles and I are both pretty tired, and then when you wake up tired every morning, you come in and fly twice, it starts to build. We're creatures of habit. You just cannot try to change a habit pattern and expect things to go perfect.
For creatures of habit, fatigue and stress can prove a tough adversary. Just ask Dan Shipley, who produced one of winter training's most entertaining moments.
Hands, salute, up, pop, 2.
See ya.
Oh, that's the best timing we ever had.
We were having problems timing with Boss. We're supposed to match Boss every time. And his step, he starts bringing his hand up a lot later than what Varman and I are used to doing. So the whole time out there, I'm thinking, oh man, don't screw it up. And then I'm thinking, okay, I'm left foot on left foot. So all I was thinking is left, left, left. Sure enough, the left hand came up. And I was sitting there looking at my left hand going, I cannot believe I just did that.
Despite the occasional blunder, each day in the air the squadron shows improvement and a determination to uphold their tradition.
Ladies and gentlemen, your United States Navy Flight Demonstration Squadron represents a time-honored tradition of pride, professionalism, and excellence, spanning 92 years of naval aviation. From the right, the Blue Angels 2004.
By late February, the two-a-day practices in El Centro are paying off. The four-jet diamond formation is coming together and flying tighter. Len Anderson has taken up the reins as lead solo. Training also involves the 6 jets flying in the Delta formation.
Rolling out on final, they make one last check to the crosswind, one last line of correction, and adjust their power to maintain the optimum rate of descent for the proper touchdown point.
Friday, before Saturday's inaugural show, is Media Day, the first official commitment of the new Blue Angel show season. John Saccomondo seems to slip into his public persona as easily as he puts on his flight suit.
Here, every day, it's such intensity, and it requires such an amount of focus that we really are just mentally drained and physically drained at the end of each of these flights. I mean,
Russ Bartlett, in his second and last year as boss, looks forward to another show season.
So how you feeling? Pretty relaxed?
Good, feeling great.
Finally, the second Saturday in March arrives, and the curtain's about to go up on the Blue Angels' first air show of the season. Boss Bartlett leads the squadron out. It's time to show the results of 10 weeks of training.
We've begun, we've done all the maneuvers, we are essentially ready for it, the performance-wise. No one wants to jinx, it's kind of like a sports team, you know, focus. Just a good feeling.
To fly a good, disciplined demo, you know, it is a milestone. You may have been up to the plate 5 times, and you know, and you're going, God, this is terrible. I'm, you know, over still, and then you get your first hit. You get over that hurdle, and then it's, you know, then you stop thinking about that. Don't change anything. Just do exactly what you know, and that's what we keep developing on and building on.
Once again, the beautiful weather of the Imperial Valley provided us with the optimum conditions to fly each of the demonstration pilots on the 120 training flights necessary prior to their first public demonstration. The Blue Angels will be performing 73 flight demonstrations this season while visiting 35 cities throughout the United States, United Kingdom, and Canada.
For 2 newbie pilots, it's an exciting start.
Having practiced so much, I felt a sense of, at times, I could actually relax in a flight, and it was just a sense of accomplishment. You could see the progress because it just was much smoother. And watching my paint, it just wouldn't move, and it was kind of neat to see the world revolve around the 4 planes right there, and just nothing's happening between you and the boss's jet. I'm sure later on in the season it gets to the point where it's just rock solid, but from what I saw, I got glimpses of what could be, and it makes you want to strive that much more.
Like others on the team, solo pilot Craig Olson knows a lot rides on this first air show.
You prepare all winter for that first flight, and then of course the rest of the season. The jets are flying closer together, the maneuvers are tighter. The debriefs are less painful. I don't want to say they're not painful, but they're less painful. And we're just able to learn quicker now. And as the season goes on and we get towards the latter part of the season, it'll only get better. It's fun to see.
"38 minutes after going airborne together, the 6 Blue Angel jets land together. But the show and their mission is far from over.
And it was a thrill. It was so moving.
Along the tarmac, a line of enthusiastic fans gather.
There you go. You could have a really tough day in the airplane, and then you got to go to the crowd line and put your game face on and smile and shake hands with all the kids and sign things like it was the best flight you ever had. And you know what? As far as they're concerned, it was the best flight you ever had, because they can't tell. You know, you just you look solid out there, and they think it's the greatest thing.
Nice job, Joe. Thanks.
You know, you'd think signing autographs that it would get tiresome, but if you get a little kid that's wearing an F-14 shirt that walks up to you and wants your autograph, I mean, it's unbelievable. No, first time?
The fun time.
To see the little guys, the young kids out there, and kind of look up to you and kind of think, hey, this guy's a hero to me. If they can look up to me, and if I can be an example to them, that'd mean the world to me, and I hope I have that kind of influence.
The first air show of the season is nearly over, and the newbie pilots have reached a milestone in becoming a Blue Angel.
I'll tell you, for me, it's just a dream come true, and I'm just worried that this is going to go by so quickly that before I know it'll be done, and it's time to get off, take a suit off, and never put it on again, and that's going to be a sad day, but I'm humbled just to be out here. I'm real appreciative of it.
On the horizon, for the pilots and the entire team, there are challenges yet to face. The Blue Angels' wild ride has just begun.
Next on the Military Channel, the team continues their pursuit of perfection as they prepare for the 45-minute spectacle known as the demo. Blue Angels, a year in the life. Next on the Military Channel.